Welcome to Live, Breathe Yoga, a show dedicated to inspiring your practice and elevating your mind, body, and soul. Today we chat with Sean Lavery from Float Toronto about sensory deprivation tanks. Coming up later in the show for Strike a Pose, we explore aerial yoga. Don't forget to stay tuned for Yoga Bites, where we share our recipe of the day. We have a great show in store for you. Stay connected for more Live, Breathe Yoga. Pranayama is a beautiful part of your yoga practice. It keeps you present and helps to expand your lungs, giving you more space to move deeper into your postures. The practice Nadi Shodhana allows you to connect to deep relaxation in the body and in the mind. The technique of alternate nostril breathing purifies the nervous system. To practice, take the index finger and middle finger of your right hand to the center of your forehead. Close your left nostril with your ring finger. Inhale through your right nostril. Close your right nostril with your thumb, then lift your ring finger to exhale through your left nostril. Inhale left, cover. Exhale right, cover. Inhale right, cover. Exhale left. Repeat this 20 times for both nostrils. Once you have completed this practice, take your hands to your knees and come back to breathing in and out of both nostrils with ease. Observe the clarity you have connected to. Hi everyone, with me today is Sean Lavery from Float Toronto, and today we're going to talk about sensory deprivation tanks. So tell me a little bit more about what sensory deprivation tanks are.
So floating is a practice whereby you get in a float tank, sensory deprivation tank, isolation tank. It's kind of developed a few different names through the history of floating. But basically you get in a tank, it's about 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, and about 4.5 feet high. And you just lie down in a very saturated Epsom salt solution. So it's about 10 inches of water and 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. So you lie down and you'll float totally effortlessly. So it's kind of like the Dead Sea, but an even higher concentration of salt.
Wow.
And it's kind of saturated to a very specific point where your body is as submerged as possible to relieve the effects of gravity. Like you've heard of people recovering from injuries, training in the water relieves some of the effects of gravity on your joints and soft tissues and stuff like that. So that's the idea behind trying to relieve the gravity of floating, that all your joints and soft tissues kind of decompress a little bit. So we submerge you as much as possible while your face and eyes are still out of the water, so that you can not get salt water in your eyes. It stings and it kind of tastes terrible. So you want to keep it out of your mouth and your eyes.
So when you say you submerge us, is there somebody pushing you into the water?
No, totally. You just lie down on top of the water, and you'll be as submerged as possible when you're fully relaxed, without it being problematic for your eyes or mouth. You can just fall asleep like that and you'll be able to breathe totally normally, and you won't get salt water in your eyes like that.
I did actually try this. I only asked that because you said submerged, because it sounds like you're actually being pushed out.
So basically your body is floating in a way that most of your body is going to be under the water, but your face, just right up to your eyes, is going to be just out of the water.
Now, what is the temperature like?
So the temperature of the tank is set to about 93.5 degrees Fahrenheit, which is skin temperature. So it's what we call skin receptor neutral, so that basically once you settle in the tank and you kind of stop moving and learn to fully relax your body, you're going to lose that boundary at the end of your body where your body ends and the water begins, and you kind of lose your sense of touch. So it's pitch black, soundproof, and you'll lose that sense of touch, and you'll have you won't be able to feel the effects of gravity. So it's kind of this full sensory deprivation where we take all the sensory input that normally is coming into your brain through your sense organs, and just remove all that and let your brain kind of gear down while your body's also able to fully relax.
So why would somebody want to practice this?
Well, there's a ton of benefits. It's hard to get through the whole laundry list, but the biggest one I think is for stress relief. That's the biggest one that people tend to come to us for. They just leave feeling really relaxed.
So for somebody who has certain levels of stress, like are there certain types of?
I would argue that everyone these days seems to be a little bit overstressed.
It's true.
I would say everyone in our society, unless you're practicing meditation twice a day or something like that, you could probably use it a little bit more. And I mean, that would be ideal, I think, is if everyone's practicing meditation regularly, practicing yoga regularly, that would be the ideal situation. But for those who can't or won't do that, then we're there as an option for stress relief.
Now, I read that sensory deprivation is something that some traveling business people connect to so that they can reset their bodies. Is that something?
Totally, yeah. It really helps with jet lag. It helps with if you're having trouble sleeping at all. A lot of people like to come in before bed. That's another problem that it seems to be a little bit more common than most of us think, is trouble sleeping. People have a lot of trouble sleeping out there, and a lot of people like to come in for the late night float, kind of gear down before bed, and they find it helps them sleep.
So, is it a safe practice? Do you have to be in a certain physical health?
Yeah, it's totally safe. The only potential problem that we warn about is epilepsy that's not under medical control. So if you're not taking medication and it's not under medical control, then you could potentially have a seizure in the tank and you're just alone in there, which could be problematic. But other than that, it's totally safe for everyone.
Now, if you were to suggest when to practice sensory deprivation, is there a time of day or a time of the week?
Yeah, totally. Floating is such a personal experience. It's a tough question to answer, and we do get it very often. The reality is that some people like to come in the morning and start the day with that. I find some people find it makes them tired. I tend to find it's more of a calm focus. So it really just kind of gears you down and gets you into this kind of calm state, but I don't find it makes me tired at all. Some people find that it does make them tired, and they prefer to do it right before bed. So, and we do have a 2-hour late night float at the end of every day.
Ooh,
so every night for
good.
the same price, you can come in for 2 hours, and that starts at 11 p.m. So a lot of people have trouble sleeping, come in when you should be going to bed, 10:30, 11 p.m., and they come in for a float for 2 hours, get extra rest in the tank, and they find it helps them sleep as well.
So walk me through an experience coming into your space.
Right, so you would come into the center, you don't need to bring anything. Someone will greet you at the front desk. You'll watch, if you've never been in before, you'll watch an intro video. It just kind of gives you the full rundown of the experience, what to expect when you come in, what to do once you get in the room. Someone will show you your room once it's ready to go, and there's a whole list of things you'll go through. You know, there's a pre-float shampoo and body wash to rinse off any scents so you don't have any sense of smell in there. You got earplugs, towels, bathrobes, everything you can need. And then after you shower, before you go in the tank, you will hop in and just lie down and try to relax. If you're worried about the confined space at all, we usually recommend that, you know, for your first time, you leave the door open for the first 5 minutes. So get yourself situated, and then once you're feeling comfortable in there, you can kind of close the door and really relax.
So how do you know when to come out?
So at the end of the session, music will come on. That's your cue to get out. There's absolutely no rush. Usually it's kind of nice to, you know, not jar yourself awake too quickly. Just listen to the music for a minute or two and slowly kind of open the door, stand up, usually drip off for a little bit. It can be, especially the first time, it's an awkward experience. Going from everything your whole life to nothingness is just totally different experience. So it's nice to we have dim lights in the room, so when you open the door afterwards, it's not too intense on your system.
Now, when I practiced last week, I really enjoyed it because you offer a little lounge area for your guests to kind of decompress after decompressing, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Before going out into the real world.
Yeah, that's something we've always found was really important for a float center, was to provide that space for people to kind of reacclimatize after their float. It can be a bit of a journey in there sometimes, and people like to kind of sit down, have some tea, and it's just, like I said, going from everything to nothing and then back to the real world again can be an intense transition. So it's nice to kind of have that in-between stage where you can just relax, have some tea, and maybe have a look through the journal, share your experiences with other people.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks a lot.
Now, if you want to give this a try, Float Toronto is located on Queen Street, Queen and Gladstone?
Yeah, right around Queen and Gladstone, just across from the Drake Hotel. We're at 1159.
1159 Queen Street West. Let's take a peek at what the experience looks like. up next, we explore aerial yoga. Stay with us. Welcome back. Aerial yoga is an amazing way to supplement your yoga practice. Now, within the same postures, you can activate different muscle groups. One of the main benefits of aerial yoga is spinal decompression, and today we're going to have a look at some of those postures. We will start with a floating warrior two. So it's a supported floating warrior two. I'm going to get the girls to take your right leg through the silk, all the way up to your thigh. You can spread it across your thigh if you want to find a little bit more comfort. Rooting into all 3 points of your left foot, face your left big toe towards the top left corner of the room. From here, lengthen your spine, inhale. On your exhale, lunge into the silk. So first connecting with a floating warrior one. Draw your hands up to the sky, shoulders away from your ears, palms facing one another, lower abdomen in towards your spine. From here, find lengthen your spine, inhale. On your exhale, take your right hand through the center of the silk and face your left big toe 1/4 of the way to your left. Gaze towards your right middle finger, shoulders away from your ears, finding length from fingertip to fingertip. Think of drawing your lower abdomen in towards your spine. What can happen when you connect with this posture is sometimes if you have tighter hips, your right thigh will draw inwards, having your heel splay out. So I'm gonna get Feng to actively draw her heel towards the earth so she can open up her hips a little bit deeper. Pressing on the outer edge of your left foot, inhale, lengthen your spine, and on your exhale, take your hands up to the silk and pivot yourself to face forward. Back into an upright position. From here, we're gonna now connect with a supported floating pigeon pose. This is an amazing hip opener. I'm gonna get the girls to draw the silk across their calf with their knee bent. Now, you can choose, depending on what happens in your practice. Sometimes you're covering your heel, sometimes your knee, sometimes neither. It really just depends on how you feel in your hips. Flexing your pinky toe towards your outer knee to protect your knee. Come up onto the ball of your back foot. Hands are just below chin level. Lengthen your spine, inhale, and then on your exhale, lunge into the silk. Connecting with this beautiful posture, keeping your forehead towards the silk so that your spine stays nice and aligned, and raising your back heel high enough so that your heel is above the ball of your foot. Whenever you connect with any posture within aerial yoga, you want to find anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths so that you can really connect deeper with that posture. And gently from here, walk your hands up the silk, coming deeper into a lovely heart opener. Inhale, and on your exhale, draw your chin to the sky. And gently from here, pull yourself up into an upright position. Extend your leg, remove the silk from your leg. And then now from here, we're gonna connect with a floating camel pose. So stepping in front of your silk, take the silk behind your back. And take a couple steps back so that you can lean back into the silk. As you lean back into the silk, make sure that the silk is hugging your rib cage. As it hugs your rib cage, draw your shoulders away from your ears, and when you do this, you'll feel your lats activate. Take a couple steps forward so that your silk is underneath your beam, and slowly bend your knees and take your hips towards the earth. Walking your feet underneath your knees and slowly taking your knees down to the earth. Now, Feng's knees are towards the earth. I'm going to show you different variations that you can connect to in this posture, because sometimes that pressure underneath your arms is a little bit uncomfortable. From here, take your hands up into prayer position above your head, into Namaskar. You can see here now that her shoulders are being supported by the silk. Now draw your hips over your knees, keeping your gaze up to the sky. And with Kristy, I'm going to have her come into the posture a little bit deeper, the full expression of the floating camel pose, reaching back for her ankles, the outsides of her ankles. Press your hips forward, and because I have the aerial silk, we can actually turn her around so you can see what the posture looks like from all angles. Again, observing your breath, observing the lungs expanding and contracting with each breath. And gently, when you're ready, release your ankles to the earth. Take your hands up to the silk. Release your shoulders from the silk. Come into a seated position and an extended child's pose, just to stretch out the underarm. And gently from here, pull yourself up into a standing position. Now we're going to connect with a spinal decompression posture that I absolutely love, and these are the postures that you'll often see if you ever look online for aerial yoga. So I'm going to have Kristy face her back towards the camera, just so you can kind of see what this mount will look like. And with Feng, I'm going to have her come forward in front of the silk, opening it up. So you're going to fold the silk in half, so find one end, fan the silk from left to right, and gently find the opposite end through the center, draw it towards you so that we're basically folding the silk in half. And gently take your back to the silk, keeping those two ends together. Hands are wider than hip width apart. Press down, jump up, and draw the silk to your knees. Awesome. So because she's facing forward, I'll have the ability to turn her around inside of the silk. So from here, Kristy's going to take her hands to about hip height, drawing the silk across her sacrum, coming up onto the balls of her feet. Keeping the silk at her sacrum, leaning back, finding a V formation with your legs and bottoms of your feet to touch. So that's one mount. The other option, so I'm going to get Feng to take your heels into the edge, pull on the silk so that you can draw the silk down your back. And I'm going to show you from the back as she's pulling herself through the silk. She's drawing the silk down her back so there's less material behind her back. From here, take your knees over the edge and take your hands to shoulder height. Straighten your arms. Find a V formation with your legs, bottoms of your feet to touch. Finding length from your tailbone to the top of your head, draw your shoulders away from your ears. Finding length on both sides of your neck. Now you can see Kristy's been in this posture a little bit longer. You can observe that she's finding stillness within the posture. Slow, deep inhales, lengthened exhales. So this is one way that you can mount the silk, and obviously Kristy has the other option. When you're connecting with spinal decompression, when you're coming into an inversion like this inside of the silk, the tendency sometimes is to start panting because of excitement or nerves. What you want to try to do is find slow, deep inhales and lengthened exhales so you can really connect with that space between the vertebrae. And gently from here, take your hands up to the silk inside of your thighs. Release your feet and come up into an upright position. Kristy's going to take her feet down and Feng is going to sit upright, let her head hang forward, arms dangle as well. Kristy's going to let her head hang forward, arms dangle, just to reset It's difficult to move very quickly from posture to posture, so you want to give yourself some time. And gently from here, I'm going to get the girls to come down to the earth so we can reconnect with the earth so they can observe the length in their spine. Moving the fleshy part away from your bottom, close your eyes, hands on your knees, and drawing awareness to your spine from your tailbone to the top of your head. And gently from here, open your eyes. So aerial yoga is an amazing practice because even if you haven't been able to connect with all of these postures your first class, there's always additional classes that you can connect to, and your body will slowly allow you to connect with these postures. I want to thank Feng and Kristy for being with me here today. Next week, we are inviting our new mommies and their babies to visit us on the mat for Strike a Pose. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog pose. Whipped this up as an afternoon snack one day, and it turned out so good. Cook vegetables on medium heat in coconut oil, pinch of salt, pepper, and cumin. Add water, wait until it boils. Add vegetable stock, cook until it boils for 2 minutes. Take it off the heat and pour into a ceramic bowl. Add butter, use a hand blender to puree into a tasty soup. Remember, if you have a favorite recipe or if there's a holistic or Ayurvedic technique that you'd like me to try out, feel free to share it with me on my Facebook page, Kaye.yoga. Next week, we talk about acupuncture, and for the new mommies out there, we're going to try a little bit of mom and baby yoga. Thanks for watching. Namaste.